Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a special edition. We are celebrating International Women's Month here in March of 2023. My name is Benisa. I'm with BENISA'S CAFE, and my co-host is Coach Betty. She is representing, fortunately, FEMME, and we have a special guest with us today. Coach Betty, go ahead and introduce our guest.
Hello, thank you so much, Benisa. Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Miss Shauli. We are excited to have you today with us. And as you all know, we are celebrating women all over the world. And today our guest is from India, and she is live from India with us today. So take it away, Miss Shauli. Welcome, and tell us about who you are and how you seeing women in your country. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It's absolutely a pleasure being on this platform today. And thank you so much, Benisa and Betty, for that warm welcome. So to let you know about myself very briefly, myself, Professor Dr. Shauli Mukherjee, a passionate academician, a global thought leader, and an inspirational speaker from India. So it has been almost 23 years for me that I have been associated with the sector of education, being the principal and the founder principal of several international schools here in India. Currently, I am the director, School of Education and Associate Dean, School of Liberal Arts and Culture Studies at Adamas University, India, which happens to be one of the premier universities in Eastern India. And yes, apart from that, I also, speak regularly on various forums on topics pertaining to education, women empowerment, health issues, mental health, youth empowerment, and things like that.
Wow, that's amazing, Dr. Shauli. Thank you so much. You are very busy. We truly appreciate you making time to speak with us today on the Women's Month for 2023. Thank you so much.
Absolutely a pleasure.
So tell us something that we don't know about India, something special that is not necessarily talked about that you would like to highlight.
Yeah, of course. I think one of the most important, information about my motherland is that it's a land of diversity. So it's a multicultural land. It's a land of diversity. It's a nation which is full of colors, I would say. I mean, there are so many languages which are spoken and so many cultures which are actually followed, but yet we all stick together and stay together. I think that's a great thing about our nation. And apart from that, very importantly, I would like to mention that India is that country from where yoga had originated. So we all know the benefits of yoga now, and almost, every people from every nation, they either practice it or they know the benefits of yoga. Now, India happens to be that place from where yoga has originated. And also in terms of spirituality, India occupies a very, 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 very distinct position because we are a land from where spirituality, respect for women, women empowerment, these are the things with which, I mean, we have not encountered all these things now. It's something that is very much there in our genes right from the very beginning. So, well, that's what India is.
Wow, I've learned a lot today about India. I knew yoga, was from somewhere, in your country, but I didn't know for sure it was created there. So that's a good information to share. Dr. Shauli. Now, let me ask you this question now. So how women are viewed in India?
So as I told you, respect for women and women empowerment, these are the core pillars of our culture in India. So we actually come from a kind of a place where matriarchy was very much practiced, surprisingly. So we all speak against, the evils of patriarchy, being, absolutely conscious about women's rights. But India is a place where actually matriarchy ruled. So And we know that, you know, there was a time when women was respected so much, and their education, their empowerment, their development was given so much of importance. But yes, very candidly, I must say that a lot of transformation had taken place, and then due to a lot of, you know, other influences which came, that took a backseat, definitely. And there had been a lot of struggles also, I would say. Currently, yes, women empowerment is given a lot of importance, and a lot of importance, I would say, a lot of significance that is given to women empowerment right now.
Great. I mean, we can see that women from India, they are definitely self confident, and a lot of Indian friends and co-workers, they are really carry themselves differently. And you can see the spirituality also had a great impact on the way they do what they do. So thank you so much for kind of like being in line and share that's how you truly see things in your motherland.
So you kind of sort of touched on this question already. So you think, so how have things changed in the last few years? What would you describe as that so it just when it pertains to women's rights in India?
Definitely a lot of changes, I would say. I mean, post-independence of our country, there had been a lot of changes. So we still sort of see a lot of divide in the way in which, you know, women are treated, or women are positioned in the urban cities, and how women are treated in the rural areas. So there is a lot of difference in that. So it's a tragic fact that in the rural and the remote areas of India, you know, women's education is not given that much of importance. So it's still that time when girl hits her puberty, the first thing that comes to the parents' mind is that she has to be married off. So her education is not given any importance, rather how to get rid of her by marrying her off, because she is actually seen as a financial liability for the parents, unlike the son. So her education is not given importance. So that is a reality. That is a sad reality. That's a tragic reality, which we see in the remote and the rural areas of India. Mm-hmm. In contrast, if you see the urban areas, there had been a huge, I would say, surge in women empowerment, and there had been almost no profession left where women had not made their mark. And I wouldn't only say mark, but I would say that women have really claimed their rights, and they are almost everywhere. So they know their rights, and by the virtue of their rights, they exercise that in a very, I would say, empowered manner. So these are the two realities that we see in India.
It's a big contrast.
Yes,
from rural to urban, or, you know, city. So definitely, I'm sure you're working on closing that gap.
See, I am an educator by profession. It has, as I told you, it has been 23 years that I'm there in this profession. And I believe that the most vital agency through which women empowerment can happen and can manifest itself is actually through education, is actually through meaningful education, not formal education, but meaningful and real education. Let me just give you an instance. It's not how many degrees you manage to acquire, or what kind of a formal education you have after you complete your college or university that defines your education. No, it's your mindset. It's how you raise your next generation as a mother. As a mother, when you first try to distinguish and differentiate between your son and daughter by the color codes pink and blue, why? Let me tell you, that is in fact gender differentiation. A lot of real education is needed so that we don't do those things, actually. So through our culture, through the way of our lives, even through our storytelling, we give dangerous signals and messages to our daughters, which can be demeaning for them for the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Even when a grandma or a mother tells a story, a fairy tale, say for instance, the typical pattern of that fairy tale is like, you have to be white in order to be termed as, or in order to be considered as a beautiful person. So that is demeaning. So what is the kind of a signal or message that we are actually giving our next generation? That only if you're white, then only you will be termed as beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be mindful. That's also education.
Absolutely.
Right?
So true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next question, Dr. Shauli, is you mentioned really earlier how women or the young girls, generally, sometimes they are a financial burden for their family. And that's why sometimes they try to marry them off so they can get relief from that burden. So is there any kind of equality in financial opportunities for women in India?
In theory, there is, but in practice, it's not. Very sadly, I would like to mention. There is a gender pay gap almost everywhere, almost in each and every profession, wherever you go. Irrespective of the talents that you have, irrespective of the position that you hold, a woman is actually a victim of a gender pay gap in almost all professions. And that's the sad reality.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, you see, and the second thing that I'm going to say is actually not nation specific. I think that is a global issue. That women work double shift, right? So they are there to take care of their household. They are there to take care of their home, their children, the elderly, their spouse, and at the same time, they're working outside, right? But for one particular work, they're getting paid, and for the other kind of work, they're not getting paid. I'm not trying to say that women should be paid for their household work, but I'm only trying to say that women should be respected enough for the kind of contribution that they have, both outside as well as in their family. But that does not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because women are the ones who are actually working 24/7, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they get only paid for 8 hours when they're working outside. And for the other part, sadly enough, they're not getting paid. Forget being paid. That kind of work is neither, acknowledged nor respected. That's the sad part.
Right. So then that takes us to the next question. So I'm curious now, do you celebrate International Women's Day, March 8th in India?
Yes, we do. We do. We do, but personally speaking, I feel that every day is a Women's Day. It's not only March 8th, which is to be celebrated with great pomp and show, but I think it should be there as a kind of a mindset where you celebrate womanhood 365 days in a year.
Mm-hmm.
If you really would like to bring about any change, if you're really interested to see that change manifested around you, I think this needs to be celebrated every moment, not one particular day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel.
Mm-hmm.
That is-
Absolutely.
That's true, because women, I think the impact we are making is so important that one day is not enough to celebrate women, because we bring life, we bring the support, we train, we educate, we coach, we work, we impact. So one day is barely enough. So every day should be the same respect, the same consideration, the same acknowledgement to women, to show them how much you care, all love them. So I'm on the same line with you there, Dr. Shauli. Now, my next question to you is really what message, how you have for women in your country and globally, what change you want to see in India, especially, or globally, if you want to address that.
Yes, the change is definitely, I would like to see a lot of changes. And the first major change that I would like to see in women globally is about their mindset, is about their confidence, is about that courage, is about that boldness with which they would show up. I think that's missing. No matter what kind of, picture we project outside. But the problem is we are very, very insecure within. We are very scared within, So I always say this, that the greatest fight that a woman has to fight is never outside. We may say that we are feminists and our greatest fight is with the patriarchy. No, our greatest fight is always within us. It's that, inner voice that continuously keeps us telling us that you're not good enough. That you have to be perfect in everything. You have to be a perfect mother. You have to be a perfect wife. You have to be a perfect daughter. You have to be a perfect sister. No, we don't have to be perfect. I think we should not strive to do something which is impossible, because see, patriarchy has set up an impossible standard for all of us women, and they know that we cannot achieve that. But still we are in the race. We are in the competition to achieve something which is impossible. I think it's time for all of us to realize and acknowledge that we have to celebrate our ordinariness. We have to celebrate our rawness, our courage, our authenticity. We have to be real. We have to be authentic. We are wonderful. We are beautiful in our simplicity, in our rawness, in our courage. I think that is the change that is required. Why do we have to feel guilty each and every time? And why do we have to make certain changes in order to bring other change in the other facet of our lives? No, we don't have to do that. We are not superhuman. We are human beings, just like our other counterparts. We are very much human. So let us celebrate being human and being our true, real, and authentic version of ourselves. I think that is the change. And that is, in fact, real empowerment. And from that real empowerment, what we all will gain is a lot of confidence. I think that is lacking.
Thank you so much. I am almost to tears. You've given me goosebumps because I completely resonate with your message and the matter of the mindset, right? It doesn't really matter what is going on the outside if we're not whole within, and if we're not walking tall and confident about ourselves, right? So we must, and I think self-care is so important too. We're such caring humans. We care for others, for our children, for our spouses, for the world, so to speak, and we forget about ourselves. And with that, we then start lacking, right? We lack the confidence and everything else. So that's something that I've been practicing a lot lately, self-care and just self-reflection. That is extremely important. And you can see a huge change even with the people that surround you or approach you, right? Because you just show up so differently. So thank you so much for that message. Thank you so much for your time this morning or this evening, right? Because you mentioned it's 7:30 p.m. there, right? In India,
yeah,
right?
It's almost 8:10.
Almost,
8:10
yes.
now.
So I really, really appreciate you taking the time. I really, really enjoyed your message in this interview. You can find this interview on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms in the next few days. So thank you so much for your time. Everyone that is listening in and watching, please make sure you like, you subscribe, and you follow us. You can find BENISA'S CAFE and Fortunately FEMMES on several different platforms. platforms. Thank you again for tuning in, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr. Shauli. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely a pleasure being on this platform today. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.